Hello everyone, Jess with Emotional Fire Academy, and today we're going to ask the question, are you a highly sensitive person? So by the end of this video, you're going to be able to self-identify either as an HSP or as not as an HSP. And I would ask you quickly to subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every week about being a highly sensitive person, and I would love for you to come on this journey with me. So, the forefront person who's done a lot of the research on highly sensitive people is Elaine Aron. She has written the book, The Highly Sensitive Person. She's identified a lot of acronyms about what qualifies as a highly sensitive person. So if you want to dive deeper into the subject after this video, I would highly suggest checking her out. But today I'm going to present kind of a different framework for whether or not you are a highly sensitive person that I think makes a little bit more sense. So, one of the major things, if you are highly sensitive, or if you're trying to figure out whether you are, and it can change, right? You can start as a highly sensitive child. It can also develop later in life, and it's more about being very observant and being very deep. So you think about things really deeply, and you sense things really deeply. So through your five senses, you notice, you hear, you feel, you just process things on a deeper level, on a finer tuned level than 80% of the population. So this is a personality trait. So again, it's like saying you're an introvert or you're an extrovert. I'm a highly sensitive person. And because you notice or you process on a deeper level, you have a lot more tendency to overstimulate, right? Because you're taking in all this data, and so it overwhelms. And it also, because you're taking in all this data, it triggers you a lot more often. So you have more emotional reactions, it seems, than other people, and you get overwhelmed more easily than other people. It creates the sensation of, I am different. As a child, this becomes really obvious that something is off, right? I'm different than everybody else. I'm sensing things that other people aren't sensing, and this typically elicits a message from a parent, from a guardian, from classmates, from teachers, that it's not okay to feel what you're feeling, or, I didn't hear that, why did you? Or just kind of where everybody else is on this kind of more superficial level, you're a little deeper, and so you feel like you're seeing, hearing, and feeling things that other people don't. So the predisposition to being observant and deep, plus this kind of toxic, you're not allowed to feel that, it creates a lot of emotional dissonance for someone who is sensitive, because you feel like you're not allowed to feel what you feel. You're not allowed to perceive what you perceive. And if you do, nobody else perceived it, so what's the point in it? So this feedback loop creates a lot of pathology if unchecked, and it creates a lot of pain in life if unchecked. I like to think of it like an observatory with telescopes. So if you're the one that is sensing and picking up the farthest stars away, and the most dim stars, and the other telescopes aren't seeing it, of course you're going to burn out quicker. You're going to, it's going to feel like you're a different breed. And that, for me, was one of the markers where I was like, I just feel different than everybody else. Also, there's the concept of sensitivity. So, right, what does sensitive mean to you? When I thought about this, the lines get blurry, because there's like sensitive as in you're picking up on subtle things, right? Like the telescope. You just are naturally observing the finer and more distinct discrepancies between things. And then there's also sensitive as in, oh, that person's really sensitive, kind of a bad word of they're insecure, they're wounded. And this, with highly sensitive people, both of these happen, right? Because you are processing on this different level, it often creates this wound of feeling I'm different, I'm broken, there's something wrong with me, which creates more emotionality and just kind of snowballs from there. So as an HSP, you might have both of those feelings, like I feel and think deeply, and I also feel, I get an emotional reaction and I get overwhelmed easily. So I want to introduce the HSP triangle, this beautiful little drawing I have here. So essentially, sensitivity, we have sensory acuity is the triangle, right? And as it goes up the top of the triangle, it gets more fine and delicate and tuned. At the bottom, it's kind of like the gross level, like the basic run-of-the-mill, almost subconscious sensitivities, like wounds, And sensitivity, honestly, is part of the human condition. Everybody is sensitive about something. Everybody has a wound, And so if you want to distinguish whether you're a highly sensitive person, is this middle of like, there's something more to what I am feeling. I'm taking in a lot of stuff. I'm noticing a lot of stuff other people aren't, and that is making me react. It's making me overwhelmed. And there is a sensation of the differentness of like, I don't see other people behaving like this. And so that's where, you kind of are above the general sensitivity of just wounding and being insecure about certain things, where you actually feel like it's kind of your operating mode. Like sensitivity kind of is your operating mode. It's almost an identity. And this is where you could label yourself as a highly sensitive person. Interestingly enough, obviously, as we go up higher into the triangle, this is where like extrasensory perception comes in. So things that you're perceiving even beyond your five senses, psychic phenomenon. This is where clairsentience, clairaudience, so hearing and seeing things that aren't there or are on a different level, right? It's a different type of hearing. It's a different type of seeing. And so that's sensitivity too. That and the difference if we look at the identity and the reactivity, right? On the basic level, it's about self, right? The wounding is about self. The sensitivity is focused on self. And as we go up the triangle, when you get into the psychic phenomena, that's when you start to realize that it's somebody else's emotion. It's somebody else's feeling. It's somebody else's thought that you just kind of tuned into like a radio. And so that's how, if we start to move up the triangle, our reactivity drops, because when we're down in the base and we're having these like subconscious reactions to things, it's a high reactivity. We're going to react. It's just kind of a subconscious trigger. We don't even realize what we're doing. But as we move up into the triangle, we can start to discern, oh, this isn't mine. Oh, this is somebody else's. And not all highly sensitive people are going to have psychic skills, but I believe everyone can develop these abilities. And the little e there we have is the empath, which is its own video altogether. But the empath is essentially a clairsentient, right? They feel the feelings of other people. And they straddle this line between being a highly sensitive person and psychic phenomena. So they're like, not all highly sensitive people are empaths, but all empaths are highly sensitive people. So the empath, and you really know you're an empath when you pick up on emotions of people who aren't even near you, right? It's coronavirus night right now. I can actually sometimes feel the fear of the collective. I can feel the feelings of mass consciousness that are kind of floating. I can feel what my neighbors are feeling, which is an interesting thing. I can feel the angst and the kind of pent up energy, the restlessness. I can feel that. And so when you start to work on your sensitivity, as you kind of work up the triangle, I really do think honing your intuitive abilities is one way to discern, like, this is not mine. And then that makes it a lot easier to process and release things when they do come into your awareness. So remember, being a highly sensitive person is a self-identified label, just like saying, oh, I'm an extrovert or I'm an introvert. You don't have to pick up the label, right? Seeing life as an experiment is a great way to say, okay, I do want to apply this label to myself. I think it's useful and I want to explore it more, or I don't want to identify with this. Because sometimes it's not a glorious label, let's be honest. Sensitivity has gotten a bad rap in Western society. A lot of people don't know how to handle the inconsistency, the emotional inconsistency of an HSP. And so, it is a challenge. Like, you really have to manage it as a skill in order to not let it destroy careers, friendships, romantic relationships, because you are processing on a different level than other people. And there's also, I noticed, I think, a blending of within HSP, because it's more of a spectrum, right? We all have a different experience as highly sensitives, right? Some of us see more things than hear more things, and how we process emotions also on a spectrum. And a lot of the other some things that might be labeled as a disorder, so ADHD, PTSD, and autism. Once I self-identified as an HSP, I saw elements of those in myself as well. You know, the ADHD, not being like only being able to orient to emotional stimuli and talking to myself in my head while I was trying to talk to somebody else. You know, so there's a lot of, you know, the human experience is so rich and complex, and you're going to find that a lot of these other labels will overlap with being a highly sensitive person. So don't be surprised if there's some comorbidities, they call it, or just other things that go hand in hand that maybe you would identify yourself with as well. And so my question to you is, where do you want to be on this triangle, right? Just like when we take on a label, that's the story we tell ourselves. It's a narrative. We pick it up, we adopt it. Just like saying, oh, I'm an extrovert. I'm an extrovert. If you keep saying it, you take it on as an identity and you become that. And so I think if you sense that you're kind of in the middle there, and starting to use the label, play around with it and see how it can help you. There's a lot of resources out there for highly sensitive people. And if you don't have to take it on. In fact, I have a program called Emotional Overhaul that helps you drop a lot of the pathological aspects of being a highly sensitive person. So, what do you think of this? Is this a pretty clear explanation of whether you're a highly sensitive person or not? Drop me a comment below below the video. I would love to hear from you. And you know, call me. Reach out to me. I would love to talk to you. I have free 30-minute consultations on my website, emotionalfireacademy.com. And let's get you to the feeling place, the sensing place that you want to be on this triangle. Where do you want to be? Do you want to drop back down here? Do you want to head up? Do you want to inhabit the realm of the empath? Anything is possible, right? This is a personality trait. So it's flexible. You can adopt the identity, you can adopt the personality, you can work on your sensations and your feelings and how much you process. These are all things that are within your conscious control. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.